County Committee, Mr. Balich.
I have a problem with what's happening where I live, Homer Glen, Homer Township. And what I see going on is you have different road projects that basically want to move traffic from the expressways into Orland Park and into different areas of Cook County. You got Hadley Road, that's been a big argument for 4 or 5 months. Now 143rd's coming up, and I know there's all kinds of people with driveways on that. So they're affected by this. Now, when you start looking at 143rd Street, is going to be a truck route, or going straight up east to Orland Park. We don't have a need for a truck route in Homer Glen. What's going to happen is it's going to go straight east. Now, I live east of Bell Road, and that project's already been done, but there's no driveways on that road. They're all subdivisions that connect to it. This part of the west part, we're talking about all kinds of people that have driveways. And then we have that one person that can't even get into their property. So we have a lot of issues there. But what road is next? Are they going to make 151st Street a truck route? Are they going to make 167th Street a truck route? You know, so there's a point in time when you have to say, just because you got warehouses and you got expressways behind you, and you want to move traffic, because that's the duty of IDOT, I guess, to move traffic as fast as they can. We can't have detrimental things happening to the people that already live there, that lived there for a long time. And so it's really frustrating when I'm looking at the big picture. If you just look at a little picture, you get one idea. Look at the big picture. Everywhere in this town, that's a small little town, it's mixed farm, and there's some businesses and stuff, but now you're gonna have truck routes everywhere. Is that what we really want? The people of Homer Glen don't want it, the people in the unincorporated don't want it, the people that live in Lockport are screaming bloody murder because their subdivisions are getting ruined from the trucks. So, I mean, I'm dead against moving forward until we can come up with a logical way to handle this. You know, there's a long time, when this thing started probably about 6, 7 years ago, and they were going to put raised barriers in on 143rd Street. And I'm not an engineer, but I took the time to research it, and I came up with something that was just as safe as raised barriers, and that was called a 2 wide left turn lane. And I don't know what it's called nowadays because it's 6 or 7 years later. But if you did that, would just leave the road with 2 lanes and 1 lane in the middle, like if you go into Mokino off of Wolf Road, there's a turning lane, so both sides use the same turning lane, and then you have a road and a road.
Okay.
But I mean, there's so many things that we should be discussing with this that we're just like rolling over, and it's wrong.
Steve, I would like to make a comment on that. I do know this committee and the county board every year will pass a 5-year transportation improvement program. I believe the committee did that earlier this year, which covered the years 2023 to 2028. Everybody on this committee and everyone on the county board has the opportunity to make those statements and vote yes or no to the entire program. But I'm sure Mr. Ronaldson would be able to pull that up and see when those items were put on the program. That being said,
I agree, Joe, but you know what? When you look at a big giant plant, like I just said, until recently, I never saw the county trying to make truck routes in Homer Glen. I never thought of that even. Now I'm seeing that's the whole gist of what's going on, that we want to make various truck routes. And I don't like it. And so when you say you got a big picture, the 20-year plan, the 5-year plan, that doesn't go into extreme details. You know, so I mean, when I'm just looking at what's the picture right now, and the picture for where I live and where I represent as a county board member is not good. It appears to me that they want to make our town full of different truck routes. And if you talk to, I don't know, like where you live, I don't think you have that problem yet. But if it happens here, it could happen by you. And I thought Hadley Road was bad, and now we're doing it again. We'll have another truck route, and I can just see what's going on. And so it's just wrong. And we can still make the road go quicker without doing all this stuff.
All right, duly noted, Steve. Thank you. Other business, Ms. Ogalla, new business?
So this is the second time in 2 months that we've had a situation come up regarding frontage ordinance where the resident is asked to give 60 feet. I'd like you guys to take that up on your agenda next month. We need to look at that and make a decision how we want to handle that going forward, because this is a situation we have. I think we need to look at it to decide if we want to make some changes to it, as well as the issue where we have the conflicting information. This is the second time, and not just the second time, but multiple times where I've heard, that a resident, a landowner calls one department, and then they have to call the other department, and there isn't a cohesive thing. I don't know, it probably happens, but I don't know if we have a process where both departments sit down, highway department, land use, sit down and have a consultation of an issue as to how it's processing.
I can agree with that.
There's a lack of connectivity there, so.
I mean, I can't say that I can agree with some of it. I think we do need to sit down and establish a process to where both departments can work in cohesiveness. But you're right, this did come up a second time, and I thought with the discussions that we had a remedy for that. We'll look deeper into it and see if this is the case and see if the committee can help.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And I keep turning off my agenda.
All right. My name is Heidi. I'm an advocate for the people along the 4-mile corridor of the Hadley, Parker, Chicago, Bloomington Trail roads. I'm here to speak out on that. There's a lot of people against it. Jeff, you answered some of my questions. I appreciate that. I guess I'll just ask one question if you're able to answer or not. If or when the village does get a jurisdictional transfer, technically, are they allowed to transfer it to the township if they wanted?
Thank you for your question. And just for some housekeeping rules, typically under public comment.
Right, there's no interaction.
There's no interaction. Just so
Okay.
make your comment.
Okay.
But what I will tell you is our staff would be more than happy to stick around after the
Okay.
meeting and answer your questions.
Okay.
So thank you for that.
Okay, all right, so that was just a question that came up after Jeff was speaking. It's just out of curiosity. I'm sorry, I have a lot of notes, and you already went through a lot of them, so I'm just going through some of the things. I'm also listening in on the 143rd project, which is also equally disturbing. So I work for an intermodal trucking company, and I can just tell you, you just don't want to mix 18-wheelers with 4-wheelers. It's just not a good idea. Widening roads invite truck traffic. I deal with truck accidents all the time. My owner-operators drive daily from the rails in Chicago. They're not over-the-road drivers, but when they go down a road that they're not supposed to be on, they get a ticket. If you just keep the trucks off these roads, the roads stay safer, and it seems that there are other designated roadways for truck traffic. And when you redo a road, I'm just curious, what's the reason and the purpose for it? Is it for the cars or is it for the trucks? Because this area, like Steve mentioned, there's a lot of land, there's a lot of farm. That's why people move there. And when you go and you dig that up, you're disturbing a natural ecosystem. There's natural drainage, there's farm animals, there's trees, there's mature trees that you can never get back. And when you do these transportation plans every 5 years, I'm just wondering, does anyone think about 50 to 100 years from now? I mean, we might not even have trucks. These roads are going to be here for nothing. we're going to have cement everywhere because the development is just kind of getting out of control. And like I said, I grew up in a transportation business, school buses. I married into a transportation business, trucks, and roads are important, but people's property and their livelihoods are important too. And, you know, take that into consideration when you're constructing these roadways, because you can't take that back. And it's hard to grow your grass and your trees after 100 years, you know, or the historical part of it as well is important. Also, I'm just looking through here real quick. I'm sorry, are my 3 minutes up?
If you wouldn't mind, please, wrap up.
Sorry, I was doodle daddling here, and I have all these things. But like you said, I can speak to somebody and get some of these questions answered.
Yeah, and we have board members in every district, and I'm sure they'd be more than happy to sit down with you as well and take your questions to staff. So you have plenty of opportunity to get questions answered. Absolutely.
Okay, and then as far as transparency and just keeping people updated when these projects happen on the roadway where they live, how do people find out about this? Because not everybody knows about your transportation plans unless it's like happening to you at that moment. I think that's a concern for some people. They would like to know if something's coming their way instead of it's like, hey, guess what? We're here and it's too late, and then everyone's scrambling. So I'm just recommending if there's something already out there for people to be able to see what is happening in their area.
All right.
Okay.